Welcome to video number 4 of Mrs. Feary's Chapter 29, Wilsonian Progressivism at Home and Abroad. In 1914, a Serbian nationalist killed the Austro-Hungarian heir to the throne, whose name was Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The domino effect began when Austria declared war on Serbia, which was supported by Russia, who then declared war on Austria-Hungary, and Germany, which then declared war on Russia and France, and then invaded neutral Belgium, which pulled Britain into the war and ignited World War I. Americans were very thankful that the Atlantic Ocean separated the warring Europeans from the United States. Wilson, whose wife had just died, issued a neutrality proclamation and was promptly wooed by both the Allies and the Germans and the Austro-Hungarian powers. The Germans and Austro-Hungarians counted on their relatives in America for support, but the U.S. was mostly anti-German from the beginning. Kaiser Wilhelm II made for a perfect autocrat to hate. German and Austro-Hungarian agents in America further tarnished the Central Powers' image when they resorted to violence in American factories and ports. One such agent left his briefcase in a New York elevator, the contents of which were found to contain plans for sabotage. Just as World War I began, America was in a business recession. American trade was fiercely protested by the Central Powers that were technically free to trade with the U.S., but were prohibited from doing so by the British Navy, which controlled the sea lanes. The Allies and Wall Street's financing of the war by J.P. Morgan and his cronies pulled the United States out of the recession. So Germany announced its use of submarine warfare around the British Isles, warning the United States that it would try not to attack neutral ships, but that mistakes could probably occur. The Germans began to use U-boats, which you can see a picture of on the side of the slide. Wilson thus warned that Germany would be held to strict accountability for any attacks on American ships. German subs, called U-boats, sank many ships, including the Lusitania, a British passenger liner that was carrying arms and munitions as well. And you can see the newspaper, the New York Times, front page article about the incident. The attack killed 1,198 lives, including 128 Americans. Notably, the Germans had issued flyers prior to the Lusitania setting sail that warned Americans that the ship might be torpedoed. America clamored for war in punishment for the outrage, but Wilson kept the U.S. out of the war by use of a series of strong notes to the German warlords. This was too much for William Jennings Bryan, who resigned rather than go to war. After the Germans sank the Arabic in August 1915, killing 2 Americans and numerous other passengers, Germany finally agreed not to sink unarmed ships without warning. After Germany seemed to break that pledge by sinking the Sussex, it issued the Sussex Pledge, which agreed not to sink passenger ships or merchant vessels without warning, so long as the U.S. could get the British to stop their blockade. Woodrow Wilson knew that he could not do this, so this victory was a very precarious one. In 1916, Republicans chose Charles Evans Hughes, who made different pledges and said different things depending on where he was. This led to his being nicknamed Charles Evasive Hughes. The Democratic ticket, with Wilson at its head, again went under the slogan, "He kept us out of war." Wilson warned during the election, or the period before the election, that electing Hughes would be leading America into World War I. Ironically, it would be Wilson that would lead America into war in 1917. Actually, even Wilson knew of the dangers of such a slogan, as American neutrality was rapidly sinking and the war was appearing to be inevitable. Wilson barely beat Hughes with a vote of 277 electoral votes to 254 gained by Hughes, with the final result dependent on results from California. Even though Wilson didn't specifically promise to keep America out of war, enough people felt that he had done that, enough to vote for him. And you can see the report of the election from the front page of the New York Times. This is the Works Cited page. All images in this presentation are taken from the public domain.